Hi, hello, and welcome to the 23rd episode of the Whips and Whimsy podcast. My name is Zenith. My pronouns are they, them. I am so happy that you are here with me today. This is my YouTube channel where we talk about all things knitting, all things crafting that I might be up to. We usually talk about reading at the end. There's usually something Star Wars thrown in there as well. Um, but yeah, this is just kind of a cozy place to hang out and find some whimsy in your day. I hope that you are doing well. Thanks for joining me. I'm very phlegmy today, so I apologize in advance. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just allergies. I also, just fair warning, we are having some work done at the roof of our house, and we expect the roofer to be here today. He has not shown up yet. My fingers are crossed that he's going to show up after I finish filming because it is a little bit early in the morning. But if you hear any, bangs, crashes, whatever, it's some dude on a roof. And by some dude on a roof, I mean the roofer. So don't panic. Let's see. Today is Saturday, September 16th. It is still the morning. I have a pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks today. Mostly because I wanted to contrast it with Dunks, and the answer is Dunks is better, which, who's surprised? It's half the price, so it's automatically better, but it also just tastes better. But yeah, we are working on caffeinating. I have had a wonderful little morning. I have a soup in the crock pot upstairs because it is fall, even if the weather does not know that it is fall yet. That's okay. And yeah, I'm just feeling very cozy. I'm excited for a day spent at home doing nothing, and we're gonna have a great time. So with all of that said, grab a drink, grab a snack, grab a craft, whatever you want to work on, and let's dive in. We'll start off with the pig parade. The pig parade is a segment of the show, if you are new here, where typically I knit tiny pigs every week at some point. The Chichester, the pig pattern is what I use, and I show them on here one by one. I also knit other small objects, and they are kind of honorary pigs. And so, in fact, I have a day of the week that I dedicate to this in the evening called Tiny Object Tuesday. So I have no pigs to show. This week I did not make any pigs. I also typically make tiny chili peppers on a string for all the socks I finished. I didn't work on those either, so I don't have any of those to show. But what I do have is a tiny gnome. Look at him. This is the Rainbow Gnome pattern. I don't remember the designer name, but it will be linked down below in the description. All the patterns and everything, it's going to be down there. I love him. I just love him so much. I know his nose is like all wonky. I also didn't weight him properly, so he does not stay sitting of his, oh, maybe he does. I don't know. He was, when I was trying to sit him like on a table, it was not happening. But I finished him, and then I decided to do something a little bit different. So when I went to Michael's for Halloween stuff, one of the things they had was like these little 3D paper dioramas that were like $8 and then on sale. And so I got one just to see what it would be like. And I made this, and it makes me so happy. It took like 20 minutes, and it's like this 3D little bookshelf, witch's bookshelf. I think it's so cute. We have it upstairs on display, like next to our TV. It's like in like the TV stand, basically. I love it. It's so spooky. In fact, when I went back to Michael's, I got 2 more of them. We'll go on a tangent. One of the things I got at Michael's last week, apart from like the decor that's up here and some other things, I got this teacup and saucer that were like very goth looking. It's from their Dead Regency collection. And on the inside of the cup, it says "Freaks Like Me Drink Tea," which I have a tumbler of, which already says that. So I was like, this makes sense. So I got it, but it had a teapot as well. And my roommate collects teapots and puts them on display in our house. And so I mentioned the teapot to her, and she was like, oh my God, we have to have that. And I was like, okay. Well, I didn't get it. So she was like, I'm going to go get it. And I was like, okay. And then she forgot to go get it. I forgot to go get it. And finally, I think it got to like Tuesday. And I was like driving home from work, and I was like, Michael's is on the way home. So I stopped at Michael's, and I got the last of the teapots that they had. They had one teapot, they were out of the teacups. The teapot was like hiding behind other stuff, and I was like, oh no, because at first I thought they didn't have any, and I was like, oh man, I got her like all excited, now we can't have this. And then I got it, and it's on display upstairs. I should have taken a picture of it, and I didn't, but it's on display upstairs, and it's really cute and very gothic, and I love it. Anyway, that is it for the pig parade. I do have one finished object to show. I think they were almost done on the last episode, so I'm sure that you will not be surprised. But I did finish my Yanagi socks that are all messed up because I did the wrong decreases the whole way. So they do look kind of cool, but they don't look as cool as they could have. Which is fine. The person that I'm giving these to is not going to mind, so I'm not super worried about it. As I said, this is the Yanagi pattern. I adapted it to fit my standard vanilla like script. So this originally is a toe-up pattern. I changed it to be cuff down because all the socks that I make usually follow the same formula, which is 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing at the cuff, 30 rounds for the leg, a slip stitch heel, however many rounds I need for the foot, and then a square toe. So yeah, I've talked about this in past episodes, so I don't want to go over it too much, but basically I knit all my stuff inverted. My stockinette is in purl stitch, and so I had to invert and reverse. Like, I basically had to turn it upside down and inside out for the lace pattern, and I thought that I knew what I was doing, and I did not know what I was doing. So they look okay, but they don't look as cool as they could, and we live and learn. So there's that. Coffee time. Anyway. Excuse me. The next thing we have is a special guest. This is something that we have not seen on the podcast in quite some time. It is in this bag, which is a cosmetics bag from Dye With Your Boots On, which is a really awesome like goth clothing store in Salem. I bought it specifically to be a project bag. I was like, no, I love this. This is the energy. I don't know what's wrong with my lungs today, but I feel like I just cannot breathe. And like I feel like I never fully recovered from having pneumonia, which I know they tell you it lingers for a couple months, but like it has been a couple months and I am still just like phlegmy and gross and disgusting all the time. I'm so tired of it. Anyway, let me show you this this big old thing. This is my Kalara shawl that I have been working on for over a year. It is so big. It is so pretty. I took this to D&D with me. We did a one shot on last Sunday for Labor Day weekend. So it was not our usual crew, and I will talk about that at the end because it was just like the funniest shenanigans. It was so good. But I don't want to talk about it right now because I'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, I got quite a lot of knitting done in the 7 hours we were playing D&D or something. This shawl takes so much longer than it looks like it would take. This is a very basic pattern. I am at this point editing it a little bit because I want it to be done, and it's basically, I think if you pay attention to the pattern, it's like one decrease every 4 rows, and that's driving me insane. And I'm like, I just want this to be over with. Like it's long as hell already. So I'm like, I don't think it needs to be like 10 feet long. So I'm just doing more decreases because I want this to be done already. Yeah, and I think it looks fine. So let me see if you can tell on this side. On this side, I started here. This is how much I got done on this side. So yeah, that's my Kalara. I don't know when I will work on it again. This was in hibernation. I just brought it with me because I knew that I wouldn't have to deal with any weird counting stuff while people are playing D&D and doing a lot of math. Also, we were playing level 10 characters, so there was like a significant amount of math going on. I was like, I can't count rows for like a heel turn or something. So I was like, let me just bring my Kalara. All I have to do is grab the alternate color. So that was fun. Maybe I'll use it again for D&D. I'm not sure. I want to. I want the yarns back. I want the yarns back, so I need to finish it, and it's just taking so long. Anyway, the next object I have to show for you is in this bag, which was made by my friend Kaylee of Once Upon a Library. I believe her store is deactivated right now on Etsy. This is my socks for me bag is what I call it. And in here we have our Stroll Tweed socks. These are growing on me. I feel like they do not look that cute on the screen, but they do. They're just like perfect like fall greens and golds. And I'm really excited to wear these. Oh man, I'm so excited. These are, again, just my standard pattern. These are my, 10 rounds 2x2 ribbing, 30 rounds for the leg, slip stitch heel, foot. I only have the one sock. I did not spend too much time working on socks this week. I started reading a book at home, which was like really exciting because I don't do that very often. I usually do all my reading at work. But this week was the week, so there's that. And for our next object in my new craft bag, which I'm so obsessed with. This is from I believe it's Julie Quest on Etsy. I love this bag. I love it so much. I use a spinner every week to pick what kind of sock yarn I'm going to use next, whether it's scraps, whether it's stroll or stripes, or whether it's going to be new yarn. And I decided I wanted to add a fourth option to it. And the fourth option is not actually a yarn option. It is to knit yarn cozies instead, because I would like to own 1,000,000 yarn cozies. I want to have a yarn cozy for every cake of yarn I have sitting around in my scrap pile, or like that I wind up. I would love to do winding parties and then have all of my balls of yarn like, happily stored in little yarn cozies. I also would like to have a stockpile of yarn cozies that I can give away to my friends at Yule and at Christmas. Because I have a lot of friends who are also knitters, and I feel like they would enjoy yarn cozies. Not as like a main Christmas present, but just kind of like as like an addition to something that I'm already giving them, to just give them a couple yarn cozies. So I need to make a mountain of them. And so I decided I would add that as an option, and whenever it pops up, I will just knit yarn cozies for the week. And I got yarn cozies. So I started this yesterday because I cast on new socks every Friday, and the yarn cozies apparently count as socks. This is the pattern by Knitting Natty. I chose the cable option. If the yarn looks a little bit like ramen noodles, it's because I am actually unknitting a sock that I made a year ago that was about 5 to 10-ish rows too short for me. And I hate editing my socks. When I have done the cast off, I am done. And frogging something back, picking up the stitches and fixing it, it's just not gonna happen. I don't like doing that. And I've learned that the hard way, that I won't. So I've had these socks sitting around for a year, waiting for 5 more rows to be added to the foot. And finally I was like, I'm just gonna make yarn cozies out of them. So this is the first sock. This is all I have left. This was the Rose City Rollers pattern. It was the first one I made. So I also like, the other reason I don't mind that I took this all back is that the cuff of the sock is not long enough. So for multiple reasons, those are getting tinked back. I've grabbed a whole bunch of other yarns that I want to turn into cozies this week. I know that I'm not going to get to them all this week. It's just not going to happen. And that's okay, because it's one of 4 options on the spinner, and therefore it will get picked again and again. So I have another pair of socks I need to tink back. These are some old Felici. I forget what the colorway is. I did the cast off incorrectly. I didn't do a stretchy cast off, so this is as far as it goes, and I can't get it over my foot. But I'm also going to straight up just like re-knit these into something else, because these are a short row heel, and I don't like wearing socks that have short row heels. I have some in my main drawer of socks I've already made. I'm going to keep those ones. I've stretched them out wearing them. But I would rather have these as yarn cozies. So I have those to unfrog. I have the other. Look at this sock. It's like who is this fitting? Who is this gonna fit? You know what I mean? Like, no. And I have, I think, one or two more balls of this. Even though it's like, it is my favorite color, but like, I'm okay with this becoming yarn cozies. So some other yarns I've chosen. This is Crazy Alien Plant Lady from Blue Barn Fiber. This is Indian Corn from Craftily Dyed Yarns. This is Knit Picks Essential Tweed in the color Plum. And then I also have what I will probably do actually for my next cozy, is I shove everything back in this bag. I keep a jar. I sort all of my scraps out by like how much I have left. So I have a bag of like yarns that have already been used once but can still become an entire new pair of socks. I have like 20-gram minis are all in one place. All of my striped scraps go in one place, unless I can get another pair of socks out of them, in which case they're in that main bag. But I also have this jar, which is scraps that I would not be able to get cuffs, heels, toes out of. So there's a whole lot in here. I think I can get probably like one cozy out of all of this. What I will probably do, just to keep everything making sense, is I will finish this cozy. I will have like 3 rows worth of knitting left on here probably. And I will take what's left of there, cast on the next one, and then start pulling from this jar and see how far I get. And then I will move on to the other scraps I have picked. We will see how many I make this week. This took most of my day. This took all of my knitting time yesterday. So we will see. I also need to finish the other pair of socks before I go back to cozies, which makes me kind of sad because I'm actually really enjoying my cozies. But yeah, we will, that's my plan for the week. We will see how far we get. And yeah, those are my shenanigans. I said last week that I would probably have a giant box of yarn for today's episode. It has not arrived yet. It is in the mail. So I'm excited for probably next week when I get to show you a giant box of yarn that I'm receiving from one of my friends who is not a sock knitter, but bought a bunch of sock yarn thinking maybe she would be. Maybe if she just got the right yarn, it would make her a sock knitter, which is not how that works. Not everyone is a sock knitter, and that's okay, because I am, and I will just make socks for you. That's how I live life anyway. Anyway, that is it for knitting and crafting. So if that is all you are here for, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Find some whimsy. And for everybody else who is still here, let's talk about the week. First of all, there is so much D&D happening in my life, and I'm having a great time. I feel like for years I wanted to get involved in D&D, and D&D is the kind of thing where if you don't have a group that you're in, it's very hard to get into. But once you're in a group and you've like, I feel like you've like proven yourself as a player, it's like you keep getting invited into more groups, which is just so much fun. So last week I was in a one-shot for Labor Day weekend, and we were playing at level 10, which is like the highest level I've ever been. And I played the most ridiculous character. His name was Rotsmagots, and he was a dwarf barbarian with a noble background who had... Our DM made the mistake of letting us choose what our magical objects were. So I chose, I think it's Baron's Pop-Up Fortress, which is a 20 by 20, 30-foot high pop-up fortress that folds up into a 1-inch cube. And if you throw it into your enemy's space, it's 10d10 damage because a fortress appears on top of them. And yeah, and what I wanted to use it for was actually not combat. What I wanted to use it for was the fact that, like, my noble is a barbarian, but he's also glamping everywhere he goes. So he just like camps out in a fortress every night. Um, what we actually used it for was for flexing on 10-year-old children that we didn't know were orphans. And then the 10-year-old kid tried to seize my castle. And we had to scare him back out of the castle, and then found out he was an orphan. My character was like, oh, good thing I've been making fun of you and telling you my like RV of a fortress is cooler than your house. My character's an asshole. And then he gave him like 3 years worth of taxes so he could pay off the dragon that's been eating children. And then they fought a dragon. They did not kill the dragon, but they did get a truce with the dragon. So that was fun. I've also been invited into a second normal D&D campaign. So I met with the DM last night. Our first session is on Sunday. I met with the DM last night to like figure out the character, and I rolled in with a character idea of like a really goth gnome whose like town or like city or village or whatever had been like completely destroyed, and they were kind of like the last survivor, and they don't like people, and they're a little bit shell-shocked, and they don't like it. And as we were talking, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I always play the comedic characters. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing here. So we created Roger Greywood, the gnome ranger monster hunter, who is the small business owner of a pest control company. And they handle, your bees, your rats, your squirrels, your chipmunks, your dragons, your dryads, your nymphs, your wargs, your froggy myths. And essentially, this man does not know that he is a monster hunter. This man is like, I run a small business. I'm a pest control, Greywood pest control. That's what we do. If it's pestin', we catch it. And in the meantime, he has like an actual like we're starting at level 5, and everyone there like is known for being like, someone who can hunt animals and beasts and stuff. And he is like a known monster hunter to like everyone else. And he's just like, no, this is my pest control company. We're going to get interest on that, right? We need 50% down, you have to give us your deposit or we want to not doing anything. Like, it's going to be so funny. I'm so excited for this ridiculous little gnome who just, yeah, he's great. He's a gloom stalker ranger, which I think also is going to be really fun. I've occasionally watched D20, and I know that Allie has played a gloom stalker in A Crown of Candy, and their character Liam was like absolutely terrifying. So I'm like, oh yes, my terrifying little gnome is going to do great. So that's going to be good. That's it for the D&D things. So in other news for reading, I have been listening through the Secrets in Scrabble Cozy Mystery series. I talked about the first book last week, I believe, and I read 3 more this week. I had 3 work days, so I just listened to one a day because they're like 6-hour audiobooks, so I finished them in the afternoon, and I'm doing great. I have 4 more of those to read, and I will probably have an existential crisis next Friday when I run out of that series, and I need to find something else to listen to at work. So I'm really enjoying those. I'm also, as I alluded to earlier, I am reading an actual physical book at home, which has been cutting into my knitting time a little bit. That is the Darth Bane series from Star Wars, our favorite thing. These are some Legends books, and I usually don't read Legends. I know everyone and their mother is always like, the Legends are better than the Star Wars canon books, and I'm like, yeah, but I want to read canon. But the Legends books are really good, actually. I'm so into the Darth Bane series right now. I am probably going to spend half my day today reading Darth Bane. Actually, no, that's not true, because I do want to get a lot of knitting done, but I don't know, I'm really enjoying Darth Bane. It's so good. As far as watching, I am considering watching Kenobi. I need to look up and see if there's other series I need to watch before Kenobi, because I have missed some of the major ones. Like, I've never seen The Mandalorian, which I feel like everyone, has seen The Mandalorian. I haven't. So, or like Book of Boba Fett, I haven't seen that. So there's some other things that, maybe I need to watch before I watch Kenobi, but I kind of just want to jump in and watch Kenobi. So we will see what decisions we make on that. Any hoodles, I think that is all I have for this week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you find some whimsy in your day. And I will see you next time. Bye.